I'm really glad to see you again, especially that some of you I have seen here at 9 a.m. So, welcome to the last discussion panel about digital identity. But during this discussion, we will explore the various identity solutions and discuss their role in today's rapidly progressing digitalization, especially in context of artificial intelligence and Internet of Things. However, before we focus on the decentralized identity solution, let me briefly summarize the main difference between the decentralized solution and centralized. So the second one, the centralized, based mainly on system, on framework, where the management and control of user identities are concentrated on a central authorities. Whereas in the decentralized, the control is distributed to different identities and the different parties. And today in our panel we will have an amazing speaker. You already have known the Christina from nChain, and also you already know the Antoni Żółciak, the co-founder from AlphaZero. I would like to kindly invite you to the stage. And to us will join also Jacek Figuła, Chief Commercial Officer at Billon Group, and Michal Łakomski, Director of Digitalization and Cybersecurity Office, Smart City Poznan. I would like to invite you to the stage. Okay. During the whole day, a lot of things in context of blockchain and AI and also IoT was already said. But I have my first question to you, Jacek, about how can blockchain technology be leveraged to create secure and decentralized digital identity solution based on your experience, of course.
Thank you for the invitation. It's my pleasure to be on this stage. The topic is interesting because the answer depends of what you believe in when it comes to distributed systems. So I personally believe in the permission systems. Permission means that you need to have a certain permission to actually write into a ledger, because you need to control what is being written to the ledger. But the ledger is then open, and then anybody can read and validate what has been written. So validate the identity of the person that has written a thing. I come from the company named Billon, and we do the permissioned ledger ourselves, and we've implemented a number of different use cases around national currency, like CBDC type of systems, data, structured exchange, documents exchange, etc., where identity is basically the cornerstone of all of these use cases. So we need to make sure that whatever we have in the ledger, we can identify, we can associate to a certain identity. When I say that I believe in this permission, then I believe that there will be a trusted party that will provide the genuine identity of an individual or of a machine or what have you. So in the current world that we live, I think that this genuine identity provider is today a government. And government of the country, when I'm born, is giving me the certificate. Okay, and this certificate will be attached to a digital identity in future. Okay, already you can get a digital identity when you go to the government with a chip on the digital identity included. So that is the future of the systems. And this is where you start to use this identity. When you lose it, you go back to the government to recover. But when you are a normal user, you will just use this digital identity across the countries, across the different applications, different sectors, freely, because it needs to be an open to read, again, with permission to write.
Thank you so much. And Christina, if you could briefly summarize how the IoT devices can support the digital identity ecosystem.
So I think the aspects of, I mentioned earlier around things like fridges, cars, everything else really. We have so many devices today. They will increasingly be making decisions on our behalf. So having that level of accountability to those devices, that we share our identity, that we link the identity of that device back to the individual entity who's accountable for that device is incredibly important. Otherwise, you wouldn't know whether whether that transaction is real, whether that the transaction was actually permitted and has the right level of access, and whether you can trust the transaction. So that aspects of identity across the board in the supply chain, in IoT devices, to validate the information that comes from there is very, very important.
Okay, so thank you so much. And Antoni, how it looks like in case of the artificial intelligence, how it improved the verification and authorization process for the digital identities, based on your experience in AlphaZero?
Right. So with AI, I think we're the ecosystem is primarily focused on different security challenges and managing the threat engines. And then, for instance, when you mentioned the permission to write, but open access or open review, I guess. In this case, I completely agree. And then we can essentially additionally boost the security with different solutions based on AI threat detection before the commit takes place.
And Michal, you support the digital transformation in Poznan since 2017. If you could share with us your perspective, how the government and different organizations can support the whole development and implementation of digital identity system, which you had implemented.
Yeah, I would agree that I would expect the government to give me my identity, and in some way, it gives me a social security number, which because of GDPR may not be used in some of the cases. That brings a lot of problems for example, for a local authority, that we cannot ask the citizens to give us the social security number in all of the cases they are dealing with us. So we have a mix of data and connecting data, who was writing which, how many times to us, for example. But I wanted to tell about an example of a project that we have done in Poznan, and the idea was to prepare this system where we can support our citizens with different kind of benefits when they achieve the services with a discount, but we wanted to do it only for the citizens who are paying taxes to us, and there's to the city. And there's no solution on the government level where the tax office is opening the data, even for us as another public authority. So we have to design the system in which we are checking the first page of the tax declaration and reading it automatically, and checking there is one place that has written a name of a city, whether it's written Poznan or not. And if it is, it means that the taxes are coming to the city. So this is the citizens who is paying for us, and we can offer him some benefits. But when we were thinking about this project, we've noticed that we already have different kind of benefits for people who are paying taxes to the city. And in order not to put those services into one solutions and re-engineer many systems, it's better to make one ID that is having this information about this is the taxpayer and connect different services with this ID. But however, we started at the beginning with this big benefit program, OK System, and we designed this solution together with the Poznan Supercomputer and Networking Center, where using a web application, citizens can scan or download the first page of their tax document, and the OCR mechanism is reading it automatically, only checking this some of the lines where there's a name, there is a last name, social security number, and if they are paying taxes to the city of Poznan or not. And then we delete it because we cannot hold the other information, and we don't wanna because there are cybersecurity threats. So we rather delete it and just have a note. This guy is worth the benefits, and so we started, and the benefit program is going on. But last 2 weeks ago, we connected this ID Poznan system with our transportation system. So now the people who want to have the benefit on the transportation in the city, they can also use this ID solutions for showing that they are the taxpayers for the city of Poznan, and they don't want to go to the special place like they used to have in the previous years and show the first page. They can do it totally online. We interconnected the systems, and we within 2 weeks we have almost 2,000 signs that the systems were connecting. So there were 2,000 people who didn't come to the center of the city, didn't make additional traffic, or didn't have to move from their sofa. They can do it totally online. So our ID Poznan is a SSO system. It can be used to log in to different apps. And we have some more plans to connect it with other systems.
And how long took the whole process?
It was over 2 years to prepare the systems. It was on legal side, it was difficult. We have to design it from GDPR side, from cybersecurity side, and connections between the systems. But it's working on, and we're proud that we managed to finalize it.
And currently it works only in Poznan, but is it able to scale this solution to the different Polish cities?
Yes, it is possible. We even scale it up a little bit because in Poznan, the whole municipality area, so Poznan connected with surrounding gminas, have a common transportation discount. So we first started with the benefit system for the citizens of Poznan. They are all ready to get the transportation discounts, but what about people who are living right next to the border of the city of Poznan? So we changed a little bit the OCR, and it's reading if it's Poznan or any other city around, which is interconnected into the transportation system. So these guys in our ID Poznan system are receiving a mark transportation benefit capable, not benefit of Poznan capable. The others are getting both of them. That's how it works.
Okay, thank you so much. And Jacek, I would like to ask you about how do you envision the adoption of digital identity in both actually in public and in private sectors based on the mObywatel solution?
Okay, so before I answer the question, I will just, because I like the story about this Poznan transportation system. So what you've just described is a kind of locally invented zero-knowledge proof algorithm that we actually do in Billon, besides a number of different use cases which are live and commercially served. We are working on a concept which is called an identity oracle, which is able to gather a number of different information from different registries about the given identity and provide you the data you need. Because you said that you take the data and then you take the knowledge of this data and you delete the data you don't want or you cannot have. Okay, so that's basically the zero knowledge proof concept, which is being pretty nice concept right now for this kind of purposes. But back to your question about mObywatel and this type of systems. So this is a fascinating question, I must say, because and we are in a very good place in Europe, because Europe is a conglomerate of I don't know how many countries, 20 something, 7, 8, and every single country has its own registry of identity, okay? And it's different. Not only that, but every country has many different identity registries for different reasons, okay? And this is honestly a super huge opportunity. I think you know that all European countries have signed this memorandum in 2028, and I was in Brussels when it was signed in October 2018, European Blockchain Partnership. And this is a super consecutive work of the European Commission. There are two streams. One is legal and compliant, and second is the technology. Technology stream is called EPSI, European Blockchain Services Infrastructure, which aims at building the pan-European blockchain infrastructure. Already there are nodes at every country, at least one node in every country. There will be more. But we, as Billon, have been selected as one of the 3 protocol providers. Next is IOTA from Germany, and another one is Chromaway from Sweden. And we work on a scalable, highly scalable and performance system. And we do that for this very reason, so that we can connect to the registry, identity registries of so many different organizations, countries, sectors, and everything, okay? And provide the identity knowledge about the individual to whoever is the customer of the system, okay? And as we speak, currently we are doing the field tests. So I don't know for the competition, I want to speak for competition, but we have set up a system for 5,000 nodes across Europe to test the capacity, to test the robustness and maturity of this system. But the beauty of it is that this goes beyond billions of records that are being exchanged. And the use case that they have come up with is the use case related to a environmental protection use case. So the digital product certificate is the first use case selected, because they recognize how many of these documents, how much of this data needs to be exchanged and needs to be linked with identity of each and every European. We all drink whatever it is in a can, and we all throw out this. And in order to track all of this information, the system has to be an immense system. It cannot be a centralized system. So now, if you look at this mObywatel as an example, you gave so in Italy there is another system. Everybody has his own, but the mObywatel is pretty cool, and I like it so much. It has the tiny icon, small icon. It has so many big icons, like my identity card, my driving license, my cars, and all of this thing. But it has a tiny icon at the bottom, and this icon is take a picture of the QR code and provide me your identity. And this is the most important icon, actually. And to be very frank, what is probably frightening so many of the entrepreneurs like me, this functionality is already actually provided free of charge by the Polish government. And that is going to happen for every government in Europe. Every government in Europe will provide my identity on the QR code, preemptive, free of charge. Okay? So that is going to change the picture, the identity management picture of Europe, and it will advance the way the digital services will be adopted.
So we are on track in this case.
We are on track, and if I talk to companies from banks, I mean, it's not a secret that Polish banks have organized its own system for identity sharing, but that costs, I don't know what I want to say because it depends on the deal, but it costs number of zlotys per every single check, right? This is going to be free, paid by the taxpayers, of course. If I talk to the insurance companies, they love it. If I talk to the telcos, they love it. Earlier today, the energy company Tauron was claiming that they are basically building such a system as well, and they need identity source. They will have it soon, free of charge. So that is super huge advantage, and the adoption will just simply speed up.
Thank you so much. And Christina, does exist any role model in case of digital identity? And a part of it, what is the most important from the strategic point of view when the company developed such kind of solution? A part of the standardization, of course, because as you mentioned, it's the bottom line to have some standards and regulation.
So I think there are some excellent models and examples already. Of course, Europe is leading the way with the EIS 2.0, and what you already mentioned around how that identity can be free to citizens and how that's going to be consumed on a cross-border level beyond, so outside of Schengen. Then there's also previously there was a pilot with Canada, government of Canada and Netherlands, so that you can cross-border using a digital identity without any form of physical, and that's a great use case of a digital identity that was done a while back. And similarly, we're also working on a couple of other ones in Asia, where they are providing digital identity for citizens to get benefits, to get access, and individuals to be able to get education, social benefits, that sort of thing, that are, say, in multiple of the Southeast Asian countries where this is happening. So there are many models and many more that will be coming. And I think your second question being, what else are the sort of major strategic thing? I think what EU has done around EIS 2.0, identity is a public good. It's expensive. It's not cheap to do. So that aspects of government leadership and large organization leadership is very necessary, and collaboration. So whilst the governments can lead, they don't necessarily need to dictate. So that, going back to sort of my point earlier around standards, and thinking through that, how do organizations then each need to accept this identity, use this identity, consume this identity? They will need to go through internal changes. Their system would need to change. Their authentication capabilities will need to change. How much data they want to hold would need to change. The process of really migrating to the notion of Web3 would also need to change. So changing your use cases, your user interaction for organizations is going to change because of digital identity. And that, I think, is what organizations need to start thinking about versus, I own this data, I get it from you, and I keep it. And I do whatever I choose to do with it and sell it or whatever it is. That is going to be very different. So that is what companies need to be preparing for.
Okay, it seems like the change is the word strongly consistent with the technology of tomorrow. And Antoni, I also have the question to you. In case of development of the solution, what is the most important from your perspective in the case of the operation side?
Right. I guess from our standpoint, so like huge kudos, because this is essentially what we're about as well, especially on the ZK zero knowledge front, the selective disclosures and essentially owning your identity and then sharing only the details that you need to share in order to conclude an action, whatever action it is, and then essentially just being the owner of your data. Then on the implementation side, ZK is tricky. This is definitely something that our R&D team has been on for a few years. We have several ZK-based products deployed already. I guess the simplest use case would be shielding transactions from the external world when we're interacting with a public chain. It's not necessarily needed in permissioned environments. And then again, we've got one technology also on the operational side that is useful in this case, which is the selective disclosure part. As far as I would say maybe commercial or maybe just production applications, This could come in handy. The entire also digital identity sector comes in handy, and we're noticing an uptick there in different healthcare use cases. So we're talking with both larger enterprises as well as startups. And for instance, they're looking to potentially substitute whatever legacy systems they have with something that is ZK-based and essentially cuts the middleman, saving costs for them in the process. But then again, I think, and this is actually quite interesting when it comes to where to store the data on the identity side. This is where permissioned solutions, for instance, would be most suitable, or even centralized, honestly. But then again, the hashes of correctness of that data, we're hoping they're going to end up on public networks just for the sake of immutability and transparency.
Thank you so much. And as a final thoughts, could you also share with us some prospects about interoperability between different solutions? Because currently we have a lot of companies, a lot of projects, a lot of internal or a little bit more external solutions, but I guess that one day we should integrate it all to make it more efficient.
Yeah, definitely. Like passports are interoperable. You know, if you take your Polish passport to the US or Germany or Asia, it's going to be recognized. So the same thing is going to happen with digital identity, and W3C are already, there are several working groups. Like, I definitely think there's going to be a standard, and I'm not sure if that's going to be near future, but it's going to happen. And right now, you know, I think we're still in the phase of looking for the most cost-efficient, publicly funded solution. But yes, 100%. Like, without interoperability, this doesn't happen.
Thank you. And Jacek, as a final thoughts to you, the last question, it's how does technology, I mean blockchain, IoT, AI, can help combat identity fraud in the digital landscape? How we can be more secure?
So that is the difficult question for the final thought. So I just, as a matter of introduction, as well, I spent 7 years at cybersecurity basically, and I still let's say support 2 cybersecurity startups or companies. And bigger now. But it's not about the technology, I think. It's more about architecture, okay? Because of course, the technology itself, it may serve the purpose, but it depends on what architecture you put in place. And if I think really, out loud, going into future, into like as you said, a massive implementation, so everybody's identity is on the system. I mean, what you need to think about is the change of the way to manage this data. You cannot continuously think that you will be managing the data in the data center, and then you will shield the data center with a number of cybersecurity firewalls and the militarized zones and all of these mechanisms, and the RSA will be on the edge, and then you will, I mean, it's impossible, right? Zero knowledge is definitely the answer for such a thing, but also the fact that blockchain, back to this one, if you write a record in the blockchain, this record is cybersecurity protected. Not the node. The node may be in a plain open internet, doesn't really matter. But every single record, every single data needs to be protected, okay? And then, first of all, the attack is expensive. The reward is low, so nobody will basically spare an effort. Okay? And then it's distributed, difficult to find this record, and on top, every single one has a protection which is pretty decent protection. So that's on the architecture view, how it should help the cybersecurity threats.
Thank you. And Michal, after those 2 years, have you noticed any benefits in case of inclusivity and improve in access to some solution, especially for elder people in your city?
Based on our project?
Yeah, based on your project.
Well, because these are in our system, we are collecting the social security number, and if you are from Poland, you are aware that the social security number in Poland has a date of birth in it. So we know how old are people who are in our system. And we know that from the very beginning, the elderly was not the excluding criteria, and even older people were stepping into this system. We have plans which we're gonna implement within probably a month, that people who turn over 60, they will receive also the mark, like they have right now. It's Poznan benefit, 1 mark, 1 tag, let's say, or 1 certificate. Second is Poznan transportation system, and the third will be Poznan senior, and they can have additional benefits also. And everybody who is in the system, we know when he is born, when he will turn 60, he will automatically become a senior and receive additional benefits. So we even prepared the special use cases for the elderly in order to invite them to deal and get benefits from the system. So I don't think it's exclusive, it's rather inclusive. We prepared the interface in such a way that it's very simple. So I think the technology is for everybody.
Thank you. And today we raise and mention a lot about some benefits about the digital identity, and also some challenges connected with the development and implementation. And Kristin, my last question is about some ethics aspect. Can you mention what kind of challenges we can be aware?
I think it is often when we are looking at technology is fundamentally neutral. But how you implement it, how you designed it, the laws around it, the regulations around it, those are where the ethics consideration really needs to happen. We don't know what we don't know in the future. And to be able to prepare to have the right regulatory framework, the right redress, and this is often forgotten, about how do you fix things. When something goes wrong, where do you go? Who do you call? That aspects of making sure that you design with ethics in mind. And as with AI coming in, ethics is going to become much more important. 20 years ago, when I first started in my career and you talk about ethics and technology, people look at you like, what? And now, this word comes in all the time. So it is going to get much more important because we have a lot of technology is moving at such fast pace. So when we do design the system, when we look at design the regulations, write the policies, and the policies internally for companies, how they manage that identity, what do they use with it? How do they disclose it to their employees? All are ethical concerns going forward. So I think that aspects of transparency, being more cautious and less in many cases when it comes to identity is going to become more important. So don't rush and slow down and consider many opinions, because ethics, of course, is a discourse. It needs discussion. And the more we discuss and the more we're more open to ideas of different parties, I think the more important it will be.
Thank you so much. So as usual, we have pros and cons, and at the end, it usually depends from the human aspect and how we adapt to the changes. Thank you so much for the panel, and thank you for staying with us so long. This was the last panel, and now I give the voice to the host.